Hello and welcome back to the channel with me, the Orienteering Kid, where today we're in the city of Dornbirn for the third round of the World Orienteering Day Torus series. Yes, we are here for this third event celebrating World Orienteering Day, a day that comes around every year and aims to promote the sport to get as many new people into it as possible. And so here a week-long series has been created up on the Tempo simulator, the link to which can be found in the description of this video, and here we're going to have a go at the third event of 4. Now today we are in the city of Dornbirn, as I said before, which is situated in Austria, for a course set by Matthias Marr and advised by Tom Dobra. Now I know of these two people very well, and so I know that both of them are going to have made this event really a lot of fun. There will be some tricky tasks in there, knowing Tom, and it should be really enjoyable as it's the first time any of these Torus series have gone to Austria, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they've managed to do for the event. Firstly though, I should probably point out the notice that has gone on the simulator today, saying that there have been several complaints about the second race in the series which happened on Friday. There were a few of them about the different angles of the map and the picture in some of the stations, which the organisers have apologised for. However, they have been rejected as complaints, so no stations have been voided there, but there's still a complaint against task 43 which is still being solved, so we will have to come back later and see whether station 4 has been voided, but none have been yet. So the results still stand as they were previously. I am currently in 13th place going into this event, and we'll see what changes today, but let's just go straight into the event now. We're going into the World Orienteering Day Torus series section, and we are going into event 3, which today is a 1 to 4,000 map with 5 metre contours. That's quite a big contour size. We have 6 stations with a 30-second penalty for every wrong answer, and the zero tolerance is 4 metres, no side problems. So we don't need to think about side problems today, unlike Friday's event. We have the terrain being urban and park, and the instructions are that kites have been added artificially to the photos, and then Matthias has said that today is the first tourist visit to Austria. We take you to the city of Dornbirn in the far west of the country near the border of Switzerland. Enjoy. That's a very nice message to put on the end of it, and it does make me very excited to give this a go. As always, my answers will be appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen, so you can see exactly what I'm putting, correct or wrong, with the black and red letters respectively at the moment that I do. And with that, let's have a go at this third event in the World Orienteering Day Torus series. And here is station 1. Okay, 3 under the canopy in the front, 3 trees on the right hand side. We have the second and third. Third tree is Alpha. That tree there is not the right tree. Corner of building for Echo. Second tree is Bravo, and back there is going to be another 0, I believe, as we wanted the northern foot of the stairs, and that was the far end, whereas Delta was on the close end. I'm just trying to remember whether the north arrow was facing upwards. I believe it was, but that was a 9-second station. A very good start. I immediately saw the 3 trees on the right hand side and saw that Alpha and Bravo were on the second and third tree, so as soon as the map came up and I saw Alpha was on the third tree, I was straight there. The one I had to think about the most though, I think, was the second task, whether Foxtrot was on the correct tree, but I don't believe it was. And then we moved around to Echo on the corner of the building, to Bravo on the other tree, which we'd noticed at the start, so we were quick there. And then that final task, we wanted the northern foot of the stairs, and I believe Delta was on the southern foot, which is confusing me slightly because I thought Delta was definitely at a foot, and so the northern end would be the top. However, maybe there were 2 sets of stairs, and we'll have to see that afterwards. But that was a good opening station. It's a very good start for me, and let's see if we can keep this up as we move into station 2. Okay, corners on the left hand side and the right hand side, actually. Tree is the isolated tree, so that bit is going to be Charlie, I believe. Yeah, I can believe that's Charlie. And we come forward to that corner, that must be Foxtrot. That tree has nothing on it. Middle wall is that one there, so that is going to be Echo. And then round the corner there we can't see, because I believe Alpha was on the corner to the right of it as the corner we could see. And I did have to slow up a bit for that station, mainly to think about that 4th task, as I wasn't quite sure which end of the wall we were going for. However, it did seem to be the right end for Echo. We opened up quite nicely as I managed to spot the Bravo tree and saw that the corner behind the Bravo tree was the corner that Charlie was going to be on, so that was a good Charlie to start with. And then moving down to the Foxtrot corner in the walls, I did do a small bit of checking checking whether it was Foxtrot or it was actually corner out the photo, but I believe it definitely was Foxtrot before we then jumped to the left in line with Foxtrot to a tree, and I knew that definitely wasn't going to be Bravo, as that was a lot nearer to where we said Charlie was for the first task, so that was a clear 0 for me, before jumping to Echo and then a 0 to finish off as it was too far round to be Alpha. And that was a good second station. I am enjoying this a lot at the moment, and we're already on the last station in the first half of the day here, which is station 3. Okay, big pillar in the centre, Alpha's on a pillar as well in the side, and the trees, that corner there, or end of the wall, must be Bravo, before that massive distinctive tree must be Delta. Coming forward, that's the wrong side of the stairs, before that pillar is Alpha and that corner is Charlie. And that was a nice way to end off the first half of today. I could very clearly see the pillar or the massive tall building that Charlie was on, and that helped us anchor Bravo to start with. I did stop and think for a small moment about whether Bravo was in the right place, but I should have just gone with it straight away, as it was very clear to me. It was just the control description was saying end of wall, and I thought it was just a bend in the wall, but the wall must end there. And then we went back to Delta on the distinctive tree and forward to another tree, but it was the right hand side of the staircase, which was just on the edge of the photo, so had to be out the photo, and definitely a 0 before going to the pillar of Alpha and this massive building which we said Charlie was on it to finish off. So I am confident with that again, and we are now into the second half of the day already. 6 stations does go very quickly, but we are going to continue on now into station 4. Okay, corner of a lake or water is going to be the thing to notice where Foxtrot is, and that path, so that has to be Foxtrot. That tree down there on the paved area, that's got to be Echo. Islands of bits there, I believe that's Alpha, before going for that wall. Fourth wall along or middle wall is going to be Delta, and nothing's there to finish off. So a bit slower there for the 4th station. It seems to be going like fast, slow, but that's always fine as long as we're getting everything right, because no task there took more than 30 seconds. Noticing Foxtrot was on some water straight away was very useful, as that was the first task, so I was straight with Foxtrot there. Before jumping back to Echo on the tree on the paved area, I just wanted to check it was definitely that tree, as it seemed a bit too close to some of the thickety bits, but it was definitely the first tree on the paved area. And then we jumped all the way to the left hand side to get Alpha on another thicket. Counting the thickets there was quite tricky, but I do believe Alpha was in the right place before going to the wall of Delta, I believe it was, although I may have put Charlie. Slight moment of panic, you know, at the moment, but I don't. We'll have to look at that afterwards. I'm hoping I put the right one, but it was definitely on the correct wall before finishing up on a corner of open land, which was not where the other of Charlie and Delta was. So that was definitely a 0 for the final task, and another good station. So we'll just go on now to the penultimate station of the day here, which is station 5. Okay, tree of Delta and the tree in front of us of Charlie. That thicket round there kind of has to be where Foxtrot is, and that tree is not that tree, and neither is that one either. And nothing's there either. Before that then goes with Bravo. We've put 3 zeros in a row there, and I definitely believe all 3 of them were zeros after opening up with the Foxtrot, because Foxtrot was definitely on that thicket and we managed to place the area. But we then were given a tree that was hiding behind the Charlie tree, so that's definitely a 0. And then we got a tree on the left hand side, but it was the second one from the path that we could see going between Alpha and Bravo, and obviously Alpha was the first one from it, so the second one must have been out the photo, so that was definitely a 0. And then the third one was a corner of open land where Echo was on a corner, but it wasn't the corner of open land that also had the thickets which Foxtrot was in. So that was definitely another 0, as we placed Delta on the tree, and that wasn't in the corner of open land. So there were definitely 3 zeros there before being given the Bravo tree to finish off that station. So I'm actually very happy with the 3 zeros I put there, and I'm not going to doubt that at all, because I believe that's good. So we are just going to go straight on to the final station of this very good day. Actually, it's been some very good Trello, but we are ending now with station 6. Okay, path coming through and 2 gaps in the wall with Delta and Foxtrot. Identifying which part here is going to be tricky, but I can't see a building. I don't believe we're on that junction, so I'm going to 0 that. Yeah, we're right. But is there a third gap in the wall over there? I believe that one's Delta. So we then go back there, cross that path, 4th tree along, 1, 2, 3, 4 is Charlie, come forward to that tree of Echo, and nothing's there to finish off. So that was by far the longest station of the day there for me, with 39 seconds. It's almost about a third of the day there, but it's mainly trying to notice whether we were in the right place for that first task, as that was a very tricky station. Everything looked the same. However, on the map I was pretty sure we were in the wrong place, as just before I put 0 I noticed the walls on the map which definitely weren't there, and as we jumped to the second area I knew the first one was definitely a 0. However, the second task was a lot harder, trying to pick out whether it was Delta or Foxtrot between the walls, but I do believe that I got the right place, as the rest of the tasks lined up as Charlie and Echo, and then all the way out the back for a 0. That may all be wrong though. I think there's 2 ways of interpreting that station, and we'll see that when we get to it. But let's go and have a look at the stations today, and with this first station had quite a nice opener to me. We had 3 trees on the left hand side, with Alpha and Bravo on the 2 left hand of the 3 we can see. Charlie, Delta and Echo were kind of in this area under the canopy. Charlie on the corner of the canopy, Echo on the corner of the building, and Delta at the foot of these stairs, and Foxtrot's on a tree on the right hand side in some open land. So the first photo came up and I saw a line of trees which immediately made me think of Alpha and Bravo, and the rest of this area on the right hand side seemed to fit. So then I counted the trees and saw that we wanted the 3rd tree along from the right hand side, and immediately went with Alpha. That was a good start to this station for me. Because we'd noticed this straight away, we could just go straight with it, so I was happy with that. And then we moved on to the second task, and we wanted a distinctive tree on the right hand side, so we know it's going to be Foxtrot or nothing. However, Foxtrot seemed too close to the edge of the open land to be this, and then when I noticed the statue and the tree to the left hand side of the tree we actually wanted, and I can only see 1 tree in the photo, I knew that Foxtrot was going to be on this tree rather than that one, and that is a 0 for the second task. Well done if you did manage to get that right. And then we moved on to the third task, and we wanted the corner of the building, which we've already said Echo's on the corner of the building rather than Charlie is on the corner of the canopy, so that was a nice and quick Echo for the third task. And then an even quicker 4th task as we came forward and wanted the tree, but we want the second tree from the right hand side, which we've already said Bravo is on. So the Alpha and Bravo tasks there were very quick for me, and it's normally a good idea at the start stations to try and notice this sort of thing, because there's probably going to be a task about it, and in this case there were 2. This led us to the final task though, as here we wanted the northern foot of a staircase, and if you look out at Delta, Delta is at the foot of a staircase. However, north is going upwards, so the northern foot of the staircase is the other end of the staircase to where Delta is. Delta's actually on the southern foot of a staircase, and it does seem like the staircase goes up, levels off, and comes back down the other end. So there is going to be a northern foot to this staircase, but it's the other end of the canopy, making the end of this station a 0. So I'm confident I've got the whole station right. It was a very enjoyable station, but I was only there for 9 seconds, so I didn't quite get my money's worth, but that was a very good way to open up the day. But then we move on to station 2, and here we got given a road in the centre, which was quite a nice thing to notice. But the main few things for me was this tree, which Bravo was on, and then Alpha on the left hand side, and Charlie on another point of a building just over it. So when the map came up and I saw a road running basically in the same direction we were facing, and then a tree with a corner of a building and another building further down from the tree, I knew we were going to be in this area. And so believing that this tree is the Bravo tree, we go up from it to the corner of the building we can first see from it, and that does seem to be the corner that Charlie is on. Going a bit further along, and we can also see this small building as the building further up there. So Charlie's definitely on the correct corner here for the first task. Well done if you did manage to get that. But then we came further down the map for the second task, past the Charlie tree and over the road to the southwestern outside corner of a wall. And if we're coming across the road, we can see these patches of open land with trees in, and we can only see one in the photo here. So we know we can see the most northwestern one, which is going to be the top one here, and we want the corner just south of the tree that we can see in the photo. So coming down from this tree, we get to the Foxtrot corner, and that must be the corner we want here for the second task. So I'm confident that that one is Foxtrot. And then the third task came up, and we just jumped across the road to a tree, and we already know Bravo's on this tree here, so this tree must be out the photo, and that's definitely a 0 for the third task. Well done if you did manage to spot that. The fourth task though, I then had to slow a bit, as here we wanted the middle wall and the western end, but I just had to make sure which of the two walls we wanted, whether we wanted the closer one or the further away. So I moved the mouse to the centre of the circle and it showed we wanted the closer wall to us, and that may immediately make you think Delta. However, Delta is on the same wall that Foxtrot was on, and so it's just south of the point that we want there. So we want the wall further on from Delta, but only one further from Delta, and that is the wall that Echo is on. So I'm very confident that Echo is the answer to this fourth task. Before finally we jumped back across the road to the left hand side, and we wanted the northwestern outside corner of a building, and the only candidate is Alpha, as it's going to be south of the Bravo tree. However, because of where Alpha is positioned and the fact we can see it, I believe it's actually on the corner east of the corner we actually want here, and I believe the corner that we want is the corner we can't see round the corner from the building, and that would make this task a 0 to round off this station. And so I'm confident in my answers there for the second station. It took a lot longer for me than the first station, but still 24 seconds is quite a respectable time, and well done if you did manage to get them all right there. The third station then came though, and here what I picked out straight away was this massive building column thing which had Charlie on the outside of it. I didn't really notice the fountain, but that is quite a nice anchor as well, and then there is also a fairly distinctive tree with Delta on it. And then the map comes up and there is this square building in the circle, and there's a fountain right in front of us as well, so we know we must be in the right place here, and we're going just to the left hand side of this square building to the corner of open land, and we want the southern end of a wall. So if we go just to the left of the massive square building, we see Bravo's quite nicely placed there. We can see the open land ends, and we can see there is a wall down here with Bravo at the southern end of it. So the answer to this first task must be Bravo. I don't know why it confused me so much. I think maybe I was expecting it to be in the open land rather than down on the end of the wall, but it is definitely Bravo for this first task. But then we moved on to the second task, and we got given the distinctive tree wanting the northeastern side of it, and we've already said Delta is on the distinctive tree, so I just went straight with Delta there. It does seem in this station actually my times for each task did get quicker, which is quite funny, but I guess I was getting more used to the map. But after putting Delta, we then moved forward and we wanted the southwestern inside corner of a wall, which is an interesting description, and as I said in the previous event, maybe this should be southwestern inside corner of paved area, but this is a question which is up to debate, so let me know in the comment section what you think about that, which description it should be. However, looking at the task, we want this inside corner of the wall that is to the right hand side of this staircase. But where is this staircase, as we can't seem to see it? It is actually just poking into the photo on the right hand side, but if we're going to go to the right hand side of this staircase, we're going to go out the photo, so no kites must be there, and this must be a 0 for the third task, as the indent of wall that Echo is nicely placed in is the indent here, so that is definitely a 0 for the third task. Well done if you did manage to spot that. And then for the fourth task, we came all the way across to the left hand side, and we wanted the northernmost building, as that's what these pillars have seemed to be mapped as, and the northwestern side. So we look up and see that Alpha is seemingly on a pillar on the left hand side, and as we can't see any more pillars to the right hand side, we can believe that that is the northernmost pillar, and Alpha's definitely on the northwestern side of it. So that should be Alpha for the fourth task before this final task came up, and we moved to the northwestern outside corner of the building, and it's specifically this square building which we've already said Charlie is on, and we're on the right corner to be Charlie, so after very nicely anchoring off it, we can go with Charlie straight away to end this station. And that was quite a nice station. The 0 out the photo was a clever trick, but the rest of it seemed to match up quite nicely, so very well done if you did manage to get that right. And then we were already in the second half of the day here, going into station 4, as what I saw here for this fourth station was a path running through the middle and a building at the back, but the main thing I noticed was this small patch of water which Foxtrot was on the corner of, and then the map came up and we had a patch of water wanting the southwestern outside corner. So there wasn't really any question there, it was the only water on the map, so it had to be the only place we could be, and Foxtrot was on the right corner of it, so I was straight away there with Foxtrot. To me that was the clearest task of the day, but that's only because I saw the water beforehand, so I did get quite lucky there. The second task then came up though, and we moved back from the water to a distinctive tree, and we wanted the southeastern side of that tree, and so we had to work our way back from it. If we cross the path from the water, we hit this vegetation, and that must be the dark green here, and then we move down a bit more, and it's quite hard to see, but you can just about make out this distinctive tree symbol here with another thick vegetation circle just north of it. And if you followed this vegetation down, the first distinctive tree you meet is this tree, and you can see just behind that there is a circle of vegetation, so that must be the patch south of the tree we want. want. We then follow the open land up to the next distinctive tree we meet, and that is the tree that Echo is on. So I wonder whether quite a few of you might have zeroed this task thinking we actually want this tree, but it's definitely the Echo tree here, as it's the first one on the paved area as well. Well done if you did manage to get that right. That wasn't the task that took me the longest in this station though, surprisingly, as the third task came up and we wanted the southwestern side of a circular thicket here. And this is the one that took a bit of counting, as I looked at the alpha one to start with and thought maybe it was a bit too far forward and was actually this one here. However, I then noticed that Bravo was also on a circular thicket, kind of in line with this one as we're looking at it, and so I believed that Bravo must be on this circle, with the circle forward from it actually being next to this thicket as well, being the two there. And so we want the one that is just to the left hand side of it, and going left of Bravo we do hit this circle here, which has Alpha on it, and that definitely means Alpha is the right answer to this third task. That was more of a counting one, and I guess it was a bit more of a warm up for the final station, but we will get to that in a minute. The fourth task then came up though, and we wanted the middle end of a wall, and it's one of the ends of the walls on the building. So if we look at how many there are 7 walls down there, and so if we want the fourth one along from the left hand side, we actually want the middle wall, which is also going to be the fourth one along from the right hand side. So I believe the right hand side is a bit more visible to me, and so if we count from the right hand side we see 1, 2, 3, 4 walls, and we land on the wall that Delta is on the right end of. So that must be the correct wall, and we can also count 1, 2, 3 and 4 from the other side, confirming to us that Delta is in the right place there. So I'm very confident that Delta is the right answer to that fourth task, before the final task then came up, and we wanted the corner of open land, specifically the northern patch of open land and the southwestern inside corner of it. And looking at the photo, the only kite that's in a inside corner that matches is Charlie. However, moving from the Foxtrot patch of water, Charlie is in the same patch of open land as it, and so Charlie is in this patch of open land, which is the southern patch of the two in the circle, rather than the northern patch, and we want the kite to actually be there. So that definitely puts the fifth task in this station as 0, and I'm very confident that I haven't made any mistakes there as well. But that was a very good station. The key thing to notice there was the water, as that was the first task. However, if you didn't notice it in the first 5 seconds, you would have probably eventually noticed it when the first task came up, and so you would have been able to anchor off that for the rest of the station. So that was some very nice planning there. The penultimate station was then the most interesting for me here, as I have put 3 zeros in it, so I'll have to check them, although I believe they're definitely right. When it came up, I initially saw the Delta tree, which is quite interesting, and then noticed that Charlie was on the most prominent tree right in front of us on this paved area. Alpha and Bravo are also on trees on the left hand side, but then the map came up before I could notice the right, and we wanted the southwestern side of a thicket. And looking in the area, the only main tree in the middle of some paved area is this tree here that fits the description of the area as well. So I'd immediately placed that as the Charlie tree. Moving off to the right hand side, we can see the corner of the open land that Echo must be in, and because this thicket is in the same open land that Echo's in, the only thicket we can see in the photo is going to be the Foxtrot thicket, and it's on the right side of that thicket to be the answer to this first task. So I thought that task lined up quite nicely to be Foxtrot there. I think that's very clear. But then we moved into the second task, and this is the beginning of what I think are 3 zeros. So we'll go through them to make sure. Here for this second task, we move to a tree that's to the left hand side of this pathway that we've just crossed to get from Foxtrot to this second task. Looking out at Delta, it seems to be on this pathway, so it must be the tree in the northeastern part of the circle, not the one we want. We want the next one along from it though, which if you're not looking carefully enough, you'll think is Bravo. However, you can see this tree sticking out from the side of the Charlie tree as the next tree along, and that must be the tree we want rather than the Bravo tree. So that one is definitely a 0 for the second task. Well done if you did manage to spot that. But then the third task came up, and we wanted another tree, specifically the southwestern tree in this circle and the southern side of it again. So moving to the left hand side, you can see there are 2 trees here, and you might think that these are the Alpha and Bravo trees, making this answer Alpha. However, if we move from the second task tree, we know we move to the left to get to the Bravo tree, and then come down to get to the Alpha tree. So Alpha's actually the northern tree in this circle. The tree we want is out the photo on the right hand side, and this one is definitely a 0 for the second task. This was quite a clever trick to play, especially after having 1 0 already, but I did really like it. And then the fourth task came up, and we moved to a corner of open land, or specifically a southwestern part of open land, and we've already said Echo's on a corner, so you may think after 2 zeros this is going to be Echo. However, we have said that Echo is on the corner of the open land which also has the foxtrot thicket in it. Not the corner that we actually want then, so this is going to be a third 0 as we want the corner that's back there and has no kites by it. And there are definitely 3 zeros in this station in a row. So well done if you did manage to spot that. I think all 3 of them are very clear zeros. But we then move to the final task, and I definitely don't think this is a 0, and if you got the second task wrong you would have realised now as we moved to the middle tree in this circle on the southern side of that tree, and it's the tree to the left of the tree that we went to for the second task, so must be the Bravo tree to finish off. And to me that was a very interesting station, and actually as much as I said before it was possibly the most interesting station in the day, I don't believe it was, as we are just going to move now onto this final station, and this was by far the hardest station here. You look at the photo and there's just a line of trees with a couple of paths running through it. There wasn't really much to anchor off at all. It was mainly noticing here that Delta and Foxtrot were on gaps in walls, and this became very key here as the map came up and we wanted the northwestern side of a path junction, and you immediately had to think here whether any of the kites were in the right place, but I'd placed Alpha, Bravo and Charlie on trees, not at path junctions, so it wasn't going to be any of them. The only candidates for me were really Delta and Foxtrot, as Echo also seemed on a tree. However, as we said before, the key thing here is the walls. If you look on this line, there doesn't seem to be any walls mapped, and these may be too low to be mapped. However, coming down to this end of the paths, there seems to be a thicker grey line, which suggests there are actually some walls on this end of the paths rather than this bit, which makes the answer to this one definitely a 0, as it must be over here, and actually a lot closer to this building, which I've only just noticed now. So that one's definitely a 0 for the third task. It was the longest task for me in the day, and actually the only one of 2 which made it above 10 seconds in today, as this next task was the other task which took me longer than 10 seconds to get, and it confirmed that we were right for the first task as we moved to between 2 walls, and so we must be on this line now, and it must be Delta or Foxtrot, but which one is it? We don't really know very clearly whether Delta's actually in the middle with Foxtrot there, or Delta is in the right place with Foxtrot in the middle one. The key thing to do here is count the first trees in the line and see how many we can see, as we'll only be able to see 3 or 4 at most, and we can see one here just west of where Delta is. So if we believe that's the tree here putting Delta in the right place, we move up 1 tree to get to the Echo tree, move up another tree, and then a 4th tree is visible. So those must be all 4 trees, which puts Delta in the right place between the 2 walls here. I think that's the best way to solve this task. It's probably the only way to solve this task. I did try and see whether I could see a 3rd break in the wall, but it is very nicely covered by this person sat on the wall, so it was quite hard to tell. However, I think counting the trees definitely confirms that this one is Delta rather than Foxtrot, so well done if you did manage to get that one right. I think these 2 tasks especially were the hardest 2 in the day, but knowing we were right for the second task now, we then move to the third task and we want the south side of a tree. Now there are loads of trees, so how do we place this one? Well, we can move from knowing where Delta is. We want the 3rd line of trees in this line, so knowing that this tree is tree 1 here, we go to tree 2 where Echo is and tree 3, so we're going along this line and we want the 1, 2, 3, 4th tree in the line, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 I believe, which does land us on the Charlie tree, and Charlie's on the south side of that tree, so I believe the answer to this third task is Charlie rather than Bravo, which is on a 4th tree in the line here, but I believe it's that tree there, not the tree we want. So I think that one is Charlie for the third task, and then I was very quick with these final 2 tasks, believing I was right for the first 3, and I think I was right to believe that, as we came forward for the 4th task and wanted the southeastern side of the southeastern tree in the circle, which is the tree in between Delta and Foxtrot, and we've said Echo's on that tree, so it must be Echo there. And then the final task came up and we moved all the way back to the final line of trees, and because we're going to be going behind where Charlie is, Alpha and Bravo are in front of Charlie, so are these 3 kites, so no kites are behind Charlie, and that must be a 0 to finish off the day. So I am very confident that I have made no mistakes in today, even with that final station being very difficult, and I'm glad they threw it in actually. That was some very good course setting by both Mateus and Tom. It's been a very good event. It's possibly my favourite of the series so far, but it was a lot of fun, so thank you for putting it together. Let's go back and have a look now and see where I am in the overall results at the moment, and we can see that I am in 2nd place, just pipped by Kintaro at the moment. That surprises me slightly because I was very quick, but maybe everyone was very quick today. We'll have to see what the times are afterwards, but you'll see me then later for the overall results. And we are back to see that I have dropped a bit down from 2nd place to 5th. However, we were right in saying that we did make no mistakes today, and so it was a score of 121 seconds. That is a very long time though compared to the winner of today's event, which was Aaron, with a score of 83 seconds. That is ludicrously fast, and I really don't know how he did it that quickly, but very well done to him for doing so. And then we have Marcelo in 2nd place, a whole 10 seconds behind him, and then Kentaro in 3rd, another 16 behind Marcelo. So it's very quick from the Italians today. Aaron did seem to win the event though, probably during station 2 where he won that station, and then managed to take the lead in station 4, losing it to Marcelo during station 5, but then Aaron won station 6 to take home the title. So very well done to him for winning the event. For me, the most interesting station here for percentages was the final station here, station 6, where it was only really this 3rd task which only a third of you got wrong, because 2/3 managed to notice it was a 0, but there were some people who answered Alpha, Delta and Foxtrot as well. And the final station to me was definitely the hardest station, as all the features seem to be about the same in the area. So placing us for the first task was definitely a difficult one, so I'm not surprised this was the worst answered task in this station, but it does seem like for the rest of the station you seem to know what you were doing, as the percentages seemed to be about the same for the rest of it. So you must have definitely noticed what was going on for the rest of it, although it does seem like a similar number did get the rest of them wrong, so maybe that was the few that got everything one out of sync. But it does seem like most of you were able to get a good grasp of that very difficult station today, so very well done for doing so. And actually the rest of the percentages across the day here were very high, so contrary to the first 2 events, it does seem like most people were getting things right today. So if you did manage to get quite a lot of them right, I think you've done a very good job. And with that, we can go back now and have a look at the overall results for the series so far, with 1 event remaining. And I will quickly point out that there has been a station voided in the 2nd event, so some of the scores have changed in the 2nd column slightly. However, I'll wait for the reasoning behind that to come out before I address that. We can see though that I have moved up into 7th place after this 3rd event, so I am very happy with that position for now. But Aaron is in the lead today after winning the event, and now has a 2-point lead on Pavel in 2nd place. So that's a very good margin going into the final event, and especially since the 2 of them both have the same lowest score, which they could drop tomorrow, it does seem like Aaron has potentially beaten Pavel there, as the only way Pavel could beat Aaron is if he wins the event on Tuesday and Aaron doesn't improve. So we'll have to see whether he manages that. We do have Marcelo in 3rd place though, about 1.5 points behind Pavel, and then Kentaro is only 0.2 points behind that, and Ryota almost a point behind Kentaro to round off this top 5. So it is looking quite competitive in the individual competition at this moment, but it could all change going into the final event as people drop a score. I've got quite a low score to drop, so we'll have to see what happens in the final day. But we then move on to the club competition, and we can see that by no surprise Massey are still in the lead here after winning today's event as well. They're on a score of 875 points, but MDoc have managed to overtake MTV Season into 2nd place here, coming 3rd today, about 20 points behind Massey, but are then 10 points in front of Linkping's OK. So 1st place looks very secure, and 2nd looks a bit more secure, but 3rd place could be fought out a lot here, as MTV Season are in 4th, 3 points behind the Linkpings, and then we also have OLV Landshut, another 6 points behind them. So it could be very close, fighting it out for 3rd place, but we'll have to see what happens in this final event. And then finally we'll look at the countries to see that by no surprise again the Italians are still in the lead after winning today's event as well. They're now 30 points ahead of the Czechs, who are then only a point ahead of the Germans, and in the team competition a point is nothing. So the fight for 2nd is still definitely on, and even the Japanese are only 2 points behind the Germans. There's 3 points between 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. Really anything could happen in this competition, and even the Brits in 5th place only 6 points behind them as well. This could be a very close fight on our hands for the 2nd and 3rd medal positions, but I think it is very clear to say that the Italians have won the series already, so very well done to them for doing so. But with that does bring us to the end of this 3rd event in the series. It's a big thank you to Mateus and Tom for putting today's event together. I thought it was a lot of fun, challenged me in places, but it was definitely some very good trailer, and I'm looking forward to coming back on Tuesday for the final event in this series. But for now, that's going to be the end of today's video, so thank you all again for watching. If you'd like to like the video as always, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, making sure you click the bell next to the subscribe button and select all so you're notified whenever I release a video. And please make sure you're sharing these videos with people. We are celebrating World Orienteering Day here. It's the best time to get people into orienteering, and that's only going to happen if you you tell them about it. So do use these videos as a starting point of conversation, get them seeing how much fun we're having, and then they too can join in with the fun. And then finally, make sure you're commenting down below any extra analysis you think I've missed in this video or any small bits you think I should add. And I will join you again on Tuesday for the final round of this World Orienteering Day Torus series.